Well, there's been an awful lot of questions about clean diesel, how it works, what is it. And so I'm here at the Delphi booth, and with me is Philip from Delphi, and he's really going to help us understand this clean diesel technology.
Okay, well, after treatment for diesel is very important. Unlike the gasoline engine, which operates at stoichiometry, in other words, the optimum air-fuel ratio for the fuel, diesel operates lean, which means that you're not able to use the three-way catalyst that you do with a gasoline engine. You've got to have something else. Okay, you still have to reduce the hydrocarbons and the CO, carbon monoxide, and you have to reduce the NOx, nitrogen oxides, and you have to take care of the particulate, or PM, particulate matter. So you have to have separate devices in the exhaust system to take care of each of those. Now, typically, after the engine, there's the turbocharger, so virtually all diesel engines are turbocharged or boosted in some way. After that is the oxidation catalyst, and that oxidizes any hydrocarbons that may have come through the engine into the exhaust system.
Can you tell us a little bit about more how it does that?
Well, it goes through a catalyst that reduces the hydrocarbons and also the carbon monoxide, the CO.
So would that be similar to what we'd have in a catalyst in a gas-powered engine?
Similar, but the details of the catalyst would be a little bit different, but fundamentally, yes, similar. Then there's typically a gap between the next catalyst, so instead of being all in one, they're separate. And the next catalyst typically might be, well, it's not catalyst, but the next one is the DPF, diesel particulate filter. Sometimes that goes by other names, but DPF is pretty common. And that, in this case, is also coated with a catalytic material to reduce NOx. And in that case, it's called SCRF for filter. So SCR stands for Selective Catalytic Reduction.
Thank you.
And is the technique to reduce NOx, nitrogen oxides. So what one has to do is to inject a reductant into the exhaust, which reacts with the catalyst to reduce the NOx. The reductant is urea. Now, in North America, that is usually called DEF, which stands for diesel emission fluid. In Europe, it's called AdBlue. And so that is injected in very small quantities into the exhaust system, and it evaporates and goes on to the SCR catalyst. There's a chemical reaction takes place there, and it reduces the NOx, which is a pretty unpleasant chemical, into water and CO2.
I think a lot of folks understand something about diesel exhaust fluid and something they have to put in there from time to time. One of the questions I'd like you to ask right away, if you can, is how often do you have to put diesel exhaust fluid in the system?
The rate at which the diesel exhaust fluid is used up it depends on the calibration of the engine and the driving cycle. So in other words, whether you drive hard or light. But typically for normal driving on light duty, they try to make the replenishment interval for DEF to equal an oil change interval. So when you take your car in for the oil change, you also fill up with the DEF.
Well, that's a pretty handy timeline for anybody to follow.
So we make a diesel emission, at least a selective catalytic reduction dosing system, which is the system for injecting the urea into the exhaust. and virtually all clean diesel cars of the future will require such a system.
Now we understand that the diesel exhaust fluid or urea is about 70% water. So how do you keep that from freezing in the wintertime?
You don't. It will freeze. And so the urea tank has to have a heater in there, an electrical heater. Urea will freeze at minus 11 degrees Celsius. And so whenever the temperature gets down close to minus 11, then the electrical heater will turn on and keep it liquid. As soon as you get in and start the engine, that heater will be on, and it's supposed to be functional, meaning the SCR dosing system has to work within a certain time period after a cold start.
Oh, that explains a lot. So really, we don't have to worry about the 12-volt battery heating it when the vehicle's not on. That's going to happen when we start the vehicle. But what's important is that the system be calibrated so that it brings the urea up to temperature within a minimum amount of time that's probably specified by...
It is, yeah, by EPA.
By EPA.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like this is not something to shy away from. This sounds to me like it's something we're going to get to service a whole lot more in the future. Thanks, Philip. We really appreciate your explanation.
Okay, thank you.